Hello and welcome to
Hey, we like your pod.
And we're going to tell you why. Hi, it's Dawn here, and I'm joined, as always, by my trusted partner, Matt Pickett, and our very special guest tonight, our friend, Dusty Evely. How are you, Dusty? It's good to see you.
I'm good. It's been too long. Dawn, we were talking before Matt jumped on. The last time I was on the show, you were not here. I talked to Matt and Katie Sunderman, so I've not talked to you in a while. It's good to... I listen to you a lot. I hear your voice, but it's good to see you and talk to you again.
It's so good. It's so much better this way.
I agree.
And I was probably like wherever I was, in a bad place, like a hospital or something. So it's much better to be here.
Yeah, you had some health stuff going on for a while there. It was like surgeries and you were like on a space mission for a while there. So you had all kinds of stuff going on.
Thought she was eaten by her cats at a certain point, and then she was not. Came back from that, which was really good. So
the funny thing about being eaten by cats is you then gain 9 lives. So cats have actually eaten Dawn like 5 times now.
Let's go. Let's go.
Right? Pretty great. So when the intro music was playing, I was thinking about the fact one time when you were on Last Call Lambeau, you mentioned that like it sounds funny to hear the opening music for that like at 1x speed because you never listened to it at 1x. And I was thinking, I wonder if Dusty's having that right now with the opening theme song 100%.
Here. I was going to talk about that, but that's exactly right. It sounds slow and weird. I love it, but it's just a different song. It's an entirely different song, man.
Entirely different song. I mean, that's like the songs that Paul Noonan's been putting at the end of recording as eligible this season. I'm always listening to like 1.5x speed. Then I'm like, oh, I got to go back and hear it how it's supposed to be at 1x speed because he puts a lot of work into those. But some of them really sound good at 1.5. But that's the thing, Dusty, is it's like I hear your voice in my ears so much from various podcasts you're on. To hear you speaking at like a regular human speed is like, oh yeah, people don't all talk super fast. That's right.
Yeah, it is weird. It is weird when I listen. I'm like, this person talks slower than I thought they would. Like, oh, that's right. I speed up their voice. The weird thing, I mean, some theme songs play a little differently. There was one, I think it was an old baseball podcast you listened to that like sound like a punk rock song, and then you hear it in real time and like, well, it's not really that. It's just you sped it up to the point like it's hitting a little harder. So I like the difference there and that stuff.
It's good to hear the variety of it. Real quick, Don, sorry, I was going to say. There was one specific song that Paul made. It was the one about the Cowboys, really good one. And at 1.5x speed, it plays like Devil Went Down to Georgia. It's like hard driving, just kind of like going. But then when you listen to it like regular speed, like, oh, this is like a cowboy ballad. It's a totally different song.
Makes you want to like put the 33 up to 45 every now and then, just see like what new that unlocks in songs you know and love, just to see how that plays. I bought this is way off track. We have an old record store by me, and I had bought a bunch of old 78s because I was going to sample them for stuff I was working on at the time, and I'd sold them down to 33, and it's the spookiest thing you've ever heard in your life. It's like these old like big band 78s, and it's like it was tremendous experience.
Big bands slow sound like The Shining, basically, right?
Yeah. It's so good, dude. It's so good.
Well, welcome to True North and Joe in the chat. Hey guys. So True North and Joe are on about your new backdrop. Matt, do you want to explain your new backdrop?
Well, it's pretty straightforward. All I have to do is put the lotion in the basket. It's not a big deal. So
you get the hose again if you don't, is my understanding.
That's exactly what happened. I'm not going to get the hose again. No longer. No, I'll do what I'm told. Good boy. So of course, people who listen regularly may recall that I've been in the process of moving to a new house. I'm in the new house, and so my Matt cave, as we're calling it, is here in the torture dungeon of our house, which is what it looks like here. It's actually for basements, especially around my neighborhood. It's actually a really nice basement, but the angle of the camera does really look like I'm about to make a hostage video or something. I know, but we'll eventually get some stuff up on the walls, or maybe I'll get a different angle in here or something. It'll look homey eventually. For now, you got some real industrial stuff going on here.
I love it. I want a basement so bad. We don't have basements in California.
I've got a rowing machine in mind that I look past all the time. Every time I go down there, just great.
I've been
Makes
thinking
me
about
feel good
installing
about
one of those
myself.
here too. Actually, one that I can just like be like, oh man, that's making me feel guilty.
I
It's my
bought an
cat's
old.
throwing machine.
We've gotten like an old Papa Shot that I've got down there as well. So
Mhm.
me and my son are going to get into that over winter because he's getting into basketball. So I'm really excited about that.
Nice.
Fun. Basements can be fun.
Or you can be murdered in them.
Yes.
Let us know how it goes, man.
Or both. Why
Or
not both?
Or both.
I know when we were kids, I was always like, I don't want to go in the basement. I don't know why. Why do we feel that way about basements? Is that a thing?
I never had a problem with it. Although the basement that I grew up in, like I could say that better. The basement of the house where I grew up was like half finished. But the unfinished parts were the things we weren't supposed to go into because my mom is a person who has like developed several weird hobbies along the way, just randomly. So there was a moment where she was really into like making stained glass windows, like you do.
Sure.
And so there was one room that was like the stained glass room, and you couldn't go in there as a kid because there could be like pieces of glass all over the floor.
Everywhere. Yes.
But see, my parents were very smart. That's where they put the Christmas presents. That's where they hid them. So we would never go in there for fear of like slicing our feet up to hell. But convenient for them.
That's also haunted glass. That's so you gotta.
You could wear shoes though, because I had that. I did stained glass, and I actually once had a basement, and that's where everything went. And you just wear shoes.
We were told even shoes that could get through the shoes. See, my parents were thinking ahead on that one.
Oh yeah, smart
I
parents.
was gonna say you get older and you're like, we got to do that. We've got to have a room like that for our kids as well. Now, like you can't. That's where it happened. You got to tell them you can't go in there. Paint the door red. Like you can't go behind that red door. And then they won't go in there and look for their presents. That's
what it is. Sometimes you
Do
hear moaning for
are
the
your
time.
kids into horror movies like you? Do you scare them? Or
they just recently started watching movies in general. Like they just did not want to watch movies at all. We just started watching the Harry Potter movies. So they're into those now. That's gateway horror, man. Like maybe at some point we'll get them there, but they're 10 and 7, man. They're not ready for that yet. Just not quite there yet, but they will be. I have faith.
It is definitely like baby chills. Like when you see Voldemort's head in the back of Quirrell. Hey, spoiler alert, everybody. Like that's freaky. Definitely too soon. I don't know. But there are definitely moments that are just like,
as it goes on, it gets darker too. Those moments become more frequent. We just watched the 5th one, I think, which the Order of the Phoenix. I think that's the 5th one. And there's that as it gets on, it gets creepier, it gets darker. There's more shadows and everything. So listen, man, we're gonna get them there. Hook, crook, or nanny. We'll get them there. We'll get them into horror. My wife won't do it with me, so we'll get the kids. I'll get the kids hooked as well.
Never. I've never even seen a Harry Potter movie or
Harry Potter. That's something different.
That's different.
Haven't seen those yet. They're not in the queue even. No. Skip those.
So True North says, why? So sorry, Matt. Hi, True North. Why does listening to Dusty's podcast not count as a university extra credit course? That's a good idea.
It does.
Professors know what they're talking about. Like,
No, the thing is, you have to go to the right school. You have to know how to apply the right. Here's the thing: working in academia, right? It's like in The Incredibles, where Mr. Incredible's working at the insurance company, right? And he knows all the ins and outs and the forms the old lady has to fill out, and his boss is mad because he does that. That's what working in staff jobs in academia is like. I know the forms you need to fill out there, True North. I'll help you with that. You'll get some retroactive credit where it's due, as they call it. So you can get like a minor in football. I guess minor in football, sure.
Rambling, minor in rambling, yeah.
Something in coaching, in athletics. I don't know.
General buffoonery, more or less.
Ooh. Yeah. A minor in general buffoonery.
General diagrammy-ish.
God, I'd kill for that, man. I wouldn't have dropped out of school the first time if I could get that.
And hey, the heroine. Good to see ya. Long time no see. Aaron, I thought about this yesterday that Aaron, were you at Monday Night Football game?
She was at the Monday night game, yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
Flashing her
fault,
engagement ring.
Yep.
Yeah, that is her fault.
She's true. Yep. She was like, I'm going to go to that game and they're going to be so good because they're going to be so impressed that I'm there. And then look what you did, Aaron. Look what you did.
Just ruined it.
Seriously. For all of us.
Actually, if I can speak on behalf of this one, you know what? It wasn't Aaron. It was her terrible fiance who was always winning in all the fantasy leagues that I.
That's a good point.
Mister.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. That is true.
So how did you guys feel, Dusty? How'd you feel about the game? Did you feel anything about the game, or
I don't feel things, Dawn? feel feelings? I'm 45 years old. No, I mean, I'm at the point, like, at the game, like, we're watching the game. I went to a bar with, I always go, like, two of my younger brothers, and a good friend of ours. That we always go. We watch games together. We take trips up together, all that stuff. So we went to a sports bar close to us, watch the game as we generally do, and like during the game I'm frustrated and what are they doing, and it's a little harrowing, and like that sucks, and then the game gets over, and then I drive 20 minutes home, and by the time I'm home, like I don't care anymore. Like it's a regular season football game, I don't care. And then you start thinking about it, and then the next day, you start looking at the numbers. I start looking at the numbers that night up on the RBSDM, the Ben Baldwin site. He's got like live stuff doing there as far as like the average attempted air yards and like just some kind of basic stuff. So I start getting into that. And the next day I get into the film. And by the time I like kind of get through that first rewatch of going through the offense, going through the defense, just that general level set, I've looked at the numbers, I've gone through this, and like I feel like I've said 1,000 times this week, I never feel quite as good after a win as I think I will after going through that. I never feel nearly as bad after a loss as I think I will.
Right.
Like it wasn't fun to watch, but within 20 minutes of it being over, my feelings had been deadened, and then I get through everything that next day, and like it's a little more, I don't know, analytical at that point. And I got other stuff to deal with in my life. I can't be mad or upset or feel frustration about football a day after a game. Like I can't live my life that way. So it was frustrating at the time, but then by the next day it was like, oh, okay, like it wasn't quite as bad as I kind of initially thought it was, and I think there's reasons for that. You can see if you clean up some stuff on the edges and blah, 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 like all of that stuff, like you can see a path forward. And I think it was a couple bad matchups for them as far as where they went, that Eagles matchup specifically. But like, I don't know, man, like by the next day, I'm like, yeah, that kind of sucked. But also like, it's football. It's fine.
Just football. Can't hurt us.
Yeah. It can't hurt us.
I mean, I will say I stay off social media a decent amount. Just because there's way too much by Matt LaFleur. It's a whole lot of I will not name names. I'm not gonna do any of that. A whole lot of like emotion-based bad analysis, I think, of the past two games that I've seen. And it's too much of like people who some people who like put stuff out and some people who don't, I think should probably know better at this point that like, well, it's on Matt LaFleur. Like there's 1,000 things that go into a game, man. Like you really I don't expect everyone to kind of dig into like all the minutia. Like that's man. That's not everyone wants to do that. Not everyone should do that. But I think at this point, we're kind of at a point where you kind of understand it's not one person. Where does this lay? And so kind of digging into that a little bit more, it helps me understand like where the issues probably are, which sometimes makes me feel better. And sometimes it makes me feel worse.
So, I have a couple things to say real fast here. Number one is, when you have like an elastic band, let's say on underwear, and you stretch it out to the point where it doesn't have much elasticity, that's I think where we have to be as fans who have lived through the 2014 NFC Championship game. Like no game can hurt us like that anymore. Like we're good. But in that vein, Dusty, I feel like I've learned a lot from you on how to have better mental health around the results of the game. So the way you talk about it, like, it's like I might be upset for a little while, and if I'm in a bad mood, I might look on social media, but I'll always regret it. But then it's like, you know what? And next, my kid wants to play keepy uppy with a balloon, so let's freaking do this. And then I feel good in a couple minutes. But what I want to ask you though, Dusty, is so when you're digging into the numbers and you're looking at it more like analytically as a chance to learn something, do you find there's ever like a moment that you're looking through stuff where you're like, oh, okay, this wasn't so bad? Like for the games that seem bad in the moment, at least.
It depends. I mean, sometimes it's numbers and sometimes it's film, because sometimes it's like the number. I usually start with the numbers because that's easier. But again, the RBSDM is like that's day of, the film is the next day, and the advanced stuff on like NFL Pro is the next day. DVOA is like a couple days after that. And so I start with the numbers and like, okay, what is RBSDM does a thing where it's like kind of adjusted completion percentage, which is they don't deal with drops, they deal with throwaways. So you take those okay, what does it look like if he completed 65% of his passes? All right, if you take away the throwaways, there was 3 of them at 72%. And so you kind of, some of that's level set there. And then they've also got something on there where it's like first down, second down, third down, like the EPA per play, success rate, all of that stuff. So you kind of look at that. Are there any patterns here? Was there anything that like, does this lead you to anything? While I'm watching the game, I mean, I do a lot of stuff after the fact as far as like, you know, analyzing and looking and why did this happen during the game. I usually don't care about that. I'm just like screaming at the TV.
Having fun. Yeah.
Throw the ball deep, get rid of the ball. Like, I don't care if a man is open. I want him to throw it. And then the next day, like, I'm like, oh, okay, this is why I couldn't throw it. So sometimes it's numbers in terms of like, did he hold the ball a little longer? Like this Eagles game was like one of the big ones this week was he was under pressure. He got rid of the ball. Love got rid of the ball 2.85 seconds, which is about his season average. That's exactly where he sits season average. He's 2.84 for the season. He's 2.85 this game. They got pressure on him on 40.5% of dropbacks, which was the second highest rate in the league of against Love in the league. They blitzed less than 10% of the time. So like, that's one of those things that you put all those together and that tells you, I mean, he wasn't holding on the ball for any longer than he usually does. He was operating as normal. But they were getting pressure without blitzing, which means there was more guys in coverage, which means those windows get tighter. And so, like, that's one of those things you look at those numbers initially and go, okay, that might, I don't know, that probably doesn't tell the story. There's not one set of stats that tells the whole story, but it will lead you. That sometimes that's like, I'll watch the film, go back to the numbers, and then a little more informed look in terms of like, this is what it looks like these numbers are saying. Is this what was happening on those? What was he doing? Like, was there actually no one open on some of this? And so I think each game is different, but there is like usually through like a set of different numbers and then a couple things you can see. A lot of times I'll see something watching and go, well, it certainly feels like they did a lot of this. It certainly seems like this happened a lot. And then I'll look at numbers or I'll go and just chart it and go, okay, there's 10 of these plays. Like, did it play out the way I thought it did? And sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. But it's just, there's a whole lot of, Matt, you would mention at some point some like the behind the scenes stuff that like when you see someone like write an article or do a podcast or something, I do so much of that the vast majority of that doesn't come to fruition where it's like, I'm going to chart extra on these 20 plays. That didn't tell me anything. Okay, I'm scrapping it. Every week I do that. And sometimes it leads me to something and sometimes it doesn't, but it is legitimately, it's like a week to week. Sometimes something tells you something. Sometimes you just see a single thing on the film and go, oh, okay, was this a little more prevalent? And you kind of go back with like that in mind and kind of look through that. So, and then sometimes you just make stuff up. So just
Of course.
So like, it's really reassuring, you know, to hear you talk about yelling at the screen during the game, because that's what I'm doing, you know, for sure. Even in a game like this last one, I was unpacking the kitchen while the game was on my phone kind of on the side. So I was half watching it, but even that's like, you can't not feel emotional about it. So one, good to know that like somebody who we, you know, as a community, if you will, look up to as like being a really wonderfully analytically minded person. No, in the moment, you're living it, and it's later you go back and you're digging into it, and that's where you find the insights. So I guess where I'm going with this is there's a lot of bad takes out there, right? You mentioned like there's people who are making some bad takes very publicly, you know, after the game.
I was gonna say some nice things about Aaron later, and now I don't think I'm gonna do that anymore. So we're gonna see. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Matt.
No, it's quite all right. It's quite all right. Because where was I even going? Who even knows? No. The thing I'm wondering, basically, we're trying to go with this is with the digging and you've done, able to move past the worst hot takes that we're seeing. If you had to sort of like, I don't know, diagnose what's wrong with the Packers right now, or is anything wrong? I mean, I know we've like the games we lost, it's like 3 points in those games, each game, right? So like, it feels like it's right there, even though like there's a lot of like bad vibes around the fan base, or at least seemingly there are. So like, if you could like diagnose it, what is going on this season? What's your insight on that?
I think it's details. I think it's just the details are not great. And I think that's been an issue since Hackett left. I think it's been, you know, and I mentioned this, I think on Packet Day this week, that there was like kind of like they almost Peter principled themselves into, I don't know if you know Peter principle, that's a business thing, which is like you're really good at a job and so you get promoted to the next job and you're in management, but like you're bad at management, but you got that job because you were good, and so you're like you're kind of moving up into something you're not qualified for. That feels like almost what happened where Steno was like a really good O-line coach, and I think LaFleur said something today where he is still like spending time in the O-line room, but he's not the O-line coach. That's still Butkus's room, and Steno's the offensive coordinator, and the offensive coordinator's job so much is just like it's buttoning up those details. It's like you've got like you get your launch zones for like different groupings, so like you get to get your players ready on the sideline. So if you've got 11 personnel in and the next play is going to be 12. That's the OC's job, or position coach job, if the OC's up in the booth, to like get those guys ready. The next play, like these three guys, when you're subbing, that's usually coordinator, or that's position coach guys doing that. You're doing that stuff during the week, like that detailed stuff where you're aligning during the week. Like that's not head coach stuff. Like ultimately it falls on him, but it's offensive coordinator. Like he's coordinating the offense. So like if you're making sure those guys know what their jobs are, and so often those guys like don't do what they're, and it's sometimes it's small things. We had the weird illegal formation thing, and that was like they had the 6 offensive linemen out there and Kennard's out there and he's on the line, but he's not supposed to be on the line, and that's like the first time they ran that package. But that's something that like you rep and practice a bunch. Like that's something that and it's not just that one. There's a lot of these little moments that like the details are just not quite there. And even some of like the wide receiver stuff, like I can't remember. Maybe I talked to my kids about this. I have no idea where I talked about that this week, but like there was the 2-play sequence where Dobbs, Love throws best throw of the night. The 3rd down play to Dobbs, where he kind of is like behind a defender, hits him in the hands, falls down. The next play is the Malik Heath throw. Oh, not the Malik Heath, Bo Melton drop on 4th down. Romeo Dobbs supposed to take an inside path, inside release on that. But like he can't get it. And part of that is the defender played it really, really well. But buddy, you got to work. You got to work to get that, because it's an inside cutter. And so like what he's doing, instead of getting inside and then like you're at the top of that route, you create separation at the top of the route and the guy's already in your back hip. Now instead you got to go around him, you got to stack him, and then you got to get over the top of him to get that dig. So that throw's got to be perfect, because he takes that outside path, because he can't, like that's detail stuff, man. And that's Dobbs in his the fourth year. And you've also got stuff like Heath and Jacobs running into each other, because Heath is like coming out at the wrong depth on a check down. That's what Heath is out there for. That's so much of this stuff just feels like the details are not quite there. I mean, I think there's other stuff too. I do think LaFleur just leans too much in the run game when it's not working. And I understand that's part of the identity, and he is trying some new stuff there. So I get it. But so much of it is like, dude, if these details are cleaned up, there's like 2 or 3 more wins on this team. And that's, I mean, it's like, but it's like golf, right? Like thing, like if you were consistent at golf, you'd be the best golfer in the world. Well, like it's hard to be consistent at golf. So like that's a problem, but that's a consistent problem. And it has been for a couple of years. And it seems worse this year. But I mean, of everything else, I don't think play calling's the issue. Game planning is like, he's a very specific game planner. Things change every week, what they're building in the offense, how they sequence that stuff's different every single week. It's just the details just are not quite there. And part of that might be the game planning stuff. If you're changing up kind of what you're running every week, and they pare it down. It's not like you run 1,000 things every week, but if you're changing a little bit differently every week, maybe those details are harder to nail down, because you are kind of changing that stuff. But like that's a possibility. But it does feel like just those details, like the coordinator, the position coaches, like that's kind of where this thing feels like it really just is not buttoned up where it needs to be buttoned up.
So with the details, sorry, Don, I've been monopolizing. You go ahead, Don. You go ahead.
You have. No, it's okay. It's okay.
I have been. I keep jumping into questions. Go ahead.
I'm patient. I know. I do too. I appreciate you saying that, because I do believe that these calls for Matt not to call the game and Matt to be fired and all that are really upsetting me. I'm going to just say those are really upsetting me. If you want to be a fan of a team, just be a fan. I mean, that doesn't mean you just support no matter what dumb thing happens. But come on. But Jordan Love, I happened to see a clip of Jordan Love. I think it was the locker room. And he said it all comes down to just making plays. And I do believe that included in his mind, because of the context of the conversation, those details and paying attention to the details. Right. So I noticed in the comments, because I was just curious, and I made it a point to not get upset by the comments. I'm like, okay, I'm going to see what they say. They were mostly pretty good. I was surprised. But a couple of them were like, well, fire Matt because he doesn't have the details right or whatever. It's just like players and coaches probably know a little bit more about what's going on behind the scenes than the fans do. I'm guessing, I would hope. And it just feels like that's what they're saying, and the fans are upset, or the negativity is coming from 2 places. It's because they feel like that's just cliche. Well, it might sound cliche, but it is it's accurate.
Well, you also have like beyond Beyond those
accurate.
details too, they had it. They're not. I didn't see PFF numbers this week. I have no idea. I don't know what they charted as drops, but like there were 6 passes that should have been caught that weren't caught, and like that Christian Watson one, I assume that got caught in the wind. I have no idea, but he was breaking up that pass, and that sucker hit him in the back of the helmet. And Watson has said like, I should have caught that. Like I tracked that bad. I should have caught that. But like you could. I mean, I just talked a whole bunch about the details, but dude, if they catch those 6 balls, if they catch 3 of the 6 balls that hit receivers in the hands or should have been caught, then they win this game too. And so like you can like it's details
so
from the coaching staff, and it's also execution of the players. I think are like those. That's the 2 main driving factors.
So if the details seem to be worse this year, and I think you're right about that, what is any like theory you have about why that is? What's causing distractions? Why they're not as sharp? I mean, I'm really curious about that.
I mean, there's been some I think the line is worse is part of it. So like protection up front kind of like it hurries you a little bit. Like the last year they were able to lean on the run game a little bit. I mean, that's another thing is like the red zone scoring has been not as good, and it's always been like, well, why aren't they scoring as many touchdowns? Well, last year they could run better, and I looked at a bunch of like the top red zone scoring offenses this year. If you can run the ball, if you have a freak playing wide receiver, or if you can QB scramble, you're going to be in the top 5. Like that's how this goes. And last year they just figured out if we give the ball to Josh Jacobs in the red zone, we're going to score touchdowns. Well, they don't have the running game this year, and so like if you're trying to stay on schedule, that's not there, which means you're leaning more on your wide receivers. Well, Watson was out to start the year. Reed, and they're working him back in. Reed's been out. Golden's not quite there yet, and the details with Golden haven't quite been there yet either. Dobbs has been in and out a little bit, and so if you're leaning more on the pass game, but the pass pro hasn't been as good as it has been in the past either. You're now out Tucker Kraft, your best receiver and best blocking tight end in line. You're working in new guys. You got a bunch of flux online. Like it's the details, but then it's also you're sped up in a way you hadn't been sped up before. And your driving force last year, the one thing you knew you could get if we need 3 yards, buddy, we can get 4. You don't really have it this year. And so like that, you're kind of behind the sticks. I've not looked at the analysis in this. It feels like they're behind the sticks a little more than they had been in like last year because they can't run. And so I think it kind of, a lot of it comes down to that. And then you're just leaning on guys a little more. And just those receiver issues are just, I think, an issue. And then when you have a little time, maybe you don't have that time, and Love's feeling a little shaky in the pocket just because the protection's breaking down on a little quicker.
Right. And every time there's an injury and the player has to go in for another play or a penalty, it really throws the play calling off. So that whole rhythm, and people are like noticing body language or whatever on Matt. Well, of course, and then on top of that, they're all pressurized because they're expected to be a Super Bowl team this year. So there's just all this extra pressure that is probably making like Jordan perform maybe the way he did this last game. I think it was starting to get to him. I mean, because it's expected. We talked about it last week. It's expected. This is a talented team. They should be doing better. Should be, if it weren't for A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's just not. Yeah. So I think it's getting to everybody. And I think honestly, managing that mental side of things is hopefully going forward. They have somebody really working with the team on that, because I too don't think the season is by any means over.
No.
Yeah.
No, I mean they're third in the division now, but it's like one game, and they have all the division games 100%. Except for the Lions game ahead of them still. So
yeah, it's razor thin for sure.
Yeah,
you mentioned the O-line. I've been thinking about that a lot this season. Like I think we have taken the O-line for granted in general. Like, and it's like the least sexy part of the offense. They're just the dudes who stand there and they're trying to be a wall or whatever. But like, it's really noticeable this year the problems caused by it, because if you can't do well up front to open holes for Josh Jacobs, he won't do as well. If you can't keep the guys from getting to Jordan Love, he doesn't have as much time, so he can't, like, the long developing plays can't happen. And he's hurried up. It makes me wonder, do you think that in general people don't give enough, I don't know, what's the word, respect or to the importance of a good O-line?
Yeah, it's one of those things like you don't really know that you need a good O-line until you have a bad one. And you see that across the league. I mean, year after year. I mean, the Texans story of like the past 2 years has been like CJ Stroud had a good rookie year, and then he hasn't been good. Why hasn't been good? Well, the O-line stinks. Like, it wasn't even just like the O-line stinks. Like this year, the O-line stinks because they just got rid of everyone last year and they decided to rebuild it. The O-line last year was bad because like the coaching was bad. And that was like we remember Royce Newman, and Royce Newman's thing was like he didn't know how to pick up a stunt, and if they stunted in front of him, he didn't know who to pick up, like ever. The entire Texans offensive line was that way last year. So I mean, that was like, you want to talk about details, that was the O-line of the Texans last year, and they couldn't block it, and they had good skill position players. Stroud was, pretty good. I liked that rookie year was good. I don't know exactly what he is as a player going forward. That rookie year was good. They had good skill position players. That a line couldn't block anyone. You had the Packers played him that year, and they ran stunts like 90% of the time, and they picked up like 2 of them. So like, you can't operate. You can't run the ball. You can't stay out. At some point, that gets in the quarterback mentally as well. Well, like, this is a 5-step concept, but I got to get ready to throw this sucker at 4. That's on my back foot because it's on me as soon as I hit my back foot. So yeah, you don't notice it till you need it. And like you said, we in Green Bay have been very spoiled by just not even like great. Like, we've had years of great O-line play, but it's been at the very least competent O-line play for years and years and years, and just feels like it's not there this year.
That was my biggest worry this year going in during draft and whatnot. I was worried. Let me just grab a couple of these comments real quick.
Yeah.
So from Aaron, Stenovich accidentally became important at work. Well said. Iowa Joe, to think people want Steno to take over. People
want crazy things.
Who are these people? Like, I was listening to, was it Mike Walls today? He's like, did you even watch the game? Like, do you know anything about football?
He's been so good this season. His analysis of breakdowns have been so good this season.
Yeah. Joe says Matt LaFleur needs to stop leaning on Bisaccia. Yeah, maybe talking to the kickers. Is it part of the problem? This is from True North. Is it part of the problem that the team is too young, inexperienced to execute?
I don't know, man. Like, the floor will tell you no. And this team has been on, like, there's some young guys, but most of these guys have been with the team for like long enough. Like, Dobbs is like the veteran wide receiver. He's been there 4 years. Like, you could say, like, are they young and experienced? Like, maybe, but like, there was a penalty on Kennard, and like Melton was like covering him up, and like, those guys are not like new players. Those are right. Veteran players at this point. So there are times I think you can say that. I don't think that's been the issue, like the overwhelming issue this year. No.
Like, you might say that for like Matthew Golden, maybe,
but
like the bulk of the team, it's not a good excuse for them at this point.
They have enough experience. Yeah. Okay. And then Iowa Joe says, True North, to be fair, neither has been fully healthy. This is about Banks and Hobbs.
Banks.
Yeah.
And I do think that a lot of this youngness, this look of really young and experienced players comes because of, again, all the substitutions because of injuries. And also, like, I was so annoyed with all the musical chairs at the O-line in the first place. Then you add injuries on top of that, and having to change the play calls because of that, and because of the penalty. It's like it's just like this revolving door of craziness. And they can come out of it. I do believe that. They might not. They might. I'm gonna hope they do.
I think this is the week. They come out of it.
I hope so. All I can think about with the Giants is that I call him Danny DeVito from last year, running down the fleet field over and over. Like, it drove me crazy, that game.
Tommy Cutlets. That's 2 seasons ago. That was awful. That was one of the worst games I've ever
seen. That also had one of my favorite throws from Love was in that game. That was what we thought was the game winner to Malik Heath in the front left pylon with like 30 seconds left. Like, well, they got this now. And then old Tommy Cutlets just drives the team down willy-nilly and scores I think they kicked the game-winning field goal. I think, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think that. Maybe they scored a touchdown. I try to forget. I remember up to the Heath point, the Heath touchdown catch, and I forget everything after that.
Right.
The brain will block out. This is how our speaking propagates. Because if we remembered how traumatic childbirth is, we wouldn't be around anymore. It's important for our brains to do this for preservation.
Good point.
So you said maybe this is the week that, like, I mean, it should be a week where we look really good. Should be. But do you think that, like, beating up on a team that is probably pretty bad, and especially has like the worst run defense in the league, is that enough to give us the momentum to like propel the team to, have a feeling of like, we can win, we got this, we're gelling as we get into like the the rest of the schedule, which is a lot of divisional games, like you said, a lot of hard stuff coming up. Do you think one good game against a bad team can be enough?
Yes. Yes, I mean, I think it can, but also like I'm not in the locker room. Like I know what I believe. I know what some lunatics on social media believe. I don't know what the team themselves believe. It seems like they're pretty confident in themselves, but you don't know. Like that's
And
front facing.
together,
What
they
they
came together.
yeah, what they say behind closed doors, like I have no earthly idea. But like, I mean, Rogers would always talk about like the galvanizing moment, right? That was like what's the galvanizing moment, and not like they got to a point. Those Packers teams where it almost felt like they needed that, like they needed some adversity to finally hit that. Not every team is like that. You don't always need a chip on your shoulder, but there was something to that in some of those older Packer teams. So I don't know, like maybe this is the McKinney has one pick on the year and they're going up against Jameis, like maybe a good performance. Now, the one thing I will say, I mean, you mentioned the run defense, like they're the second worst run defense in the league is the Bengals, and the Packers had their way with the Bengals. So just because they get running this game doesn't mean that means like rest of the season they're going to be good doing that. So like it's almost like part of me is like, don't poison pill this thing. Don't be like, well, we could run. Now we can run. Like, no, you just came across a bad defense. But I do think like if you kind of, I don't really believe in momentum, especially game to game. But if you get to that thing that is like this, we believed in ourselves. This has all come together, and now like propels you forward. Hopefully, some guys get healthy a little bit as well, and that maybe that belief carries you a bit more. Or you start to think like, this is what we did well in this game, and we think we can lean on that. Like I think maybe that's part of it as well. But I don't know. I think this should be. And then again, if that defense has been good without turnovers.
Yeah.
If McKinney gets a pick, like if they start picking up some speed a little bit there and get some turnovers, and then defense has been good, but if the turnovers start coming as a result of this game, those things come in bunches. I'm not going to pretend to understand how turnover luck works, but if it happens in this game, maybe that can continue next game as well. That sounds like some witchcraft mumbo jumbo at this point.
Oh, it sure does. I mean, it is. It is. It's like some Etsy witch stuff for sure.
It is.
It's crazy.
We need one of those. Need one of them, I think.
It is.
Doesn't this season kind of feel like, speaking of childbirth, like we're in labor and we just can't have the baby? Like it just won't come out.
I wouldn't know anything about that. I would say like a sneeze that won't come out. Like,
yeah,
I'll give you that.
Yeah, constipated, whatever.
I'll say it's a constipated season, Dawn. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like get out of like get there, do it, like just.
Appreciated the face and the sound effects. That was good. It's helpful.
Sorry. Well, I was just, that's all my game stuff. Like you guys are yelling. I'm just like.
Well, I thought we had it earlier with after they came out of that Bengals game and they beat the Steelers. After they beat the Steelers, it was like, all right, man, like this is it. Like this is they've got it now. They've got the formula. Like they're gelling. They're looking good, and then it just kind of did not take off from there. So
I'm still going to say though, I mean, I'm like glass half full person, but it was the Eagles. It wasn't as important that we beat them. It was important, of course, every game, but we didn't get trounced. It was 3 points. That's probably why everyone's so annoyed, but we held them to 10 points, 1 touchdown. So it wasn't that bad. I mean, it was bad.
Dawn, if they got beat by 21, these fans would have burned the stadium down. The way they're reacting right now, I tell you that right now.
I mean, what is going on? Calm down. I think it's all the betting. I think they're just upset because of the betting. I do. I think that's why social media is,
Well, and I think it's part of it's like the offense just, it feels disjointed because of the lack of attention to details, perhaps. Seems like a reasonable thing. So it's hard to watch because you can see like it just doesn't feel like it's got the momentum. Like people feel like it needs to click in. Like that's the eye test thing. It doesn't feel like it's clicked in. But yeah, the defense is awesome this year. So when we think about this idea of like attention to details, Dusty, would you say that the defense does have that, and that's part of why they're doing so well? What do you think?
They seem like a well-coached unit. I mean, there's times they'll give up a little more than they should. There's been a couple missed tackles, a couple blown coverages. For the most part, like details look buttoned up. Like guys are where they're supposed to be when they're running some of those games on the front. Like you've kind of got the right spacing on a lot of that stuff, which is one of the things I like to look at in terms of like not the end all be all for a well-coached unit, but if you've got a blitzer or if you've got a sim pressure and you're kind of faking that, like when do those guys blitz or when do those guys drop out? How long is that disguised? To me, that's kind of one of those things. Like, are they? That's this Giants defense. You'll see a sim pressure and like 2 seconds before the ball snap, the guy's inching out back into the box. Like, all right, they don't like that's to me. That's not the indicator, but that's an indicator that like this may be like the details are not quite there, because as far as like the timing and all that stuff, and offenses can mess with you a little bit there, but they seem good on that front. I mean, I don't have a ton of complaints about the defense whatsoever. And I mean, I guess just to go back, this got me thinking, Matt, because you're talking about the detail stuff, that between watching the game and going to the film and looking at drive charts and all that stuff, that Panthers game was definitely one that was like frustrating to watch. And then I looked at the drive chart and stuff afterwards, and I was like, they move the ball. They moved the ball every single time. They just couldn't score in the red zone. Like, that's what was frustrating. The offense was good. The offense was operating. They couldn't score. That was the issue with the Panthers game. So it's like, it's not always the same thing every time, but there are like just these little things. You're like, just do that one thing better. And then they do. And the next game they do something else that's not good either.
Right.
Don, I think you're about to highlight one of Aaron's comments. I wanted to give it the space to do that because it was funny.
I know, Aaron. We love our Aaron. Aaron, she is convinced that Joe Barry was in debt to Tommy DeVito's 1940s gangster agent after that game. I mean, that would explain everything, in my opinion. And I'm all for conspiracy theories. So, for sure, not out of the realm of possibilities. All I can see in my flashbacks of this, and I do have them still, is Danny DeVito, the little short guy.
Yeah, I know Danny DeVito.
Running down the field, like what is happening here? Why is this happening? I should probably try to watch that game again. I have been actually rewatch. I always say, oh, I'm going to rewatch this game, and then I never get around to it. But I have been rewatching with less emotion our Packers. And it's really helpful to do that. I didn't do this one yet because I just haven't had time, but it's really helping me. It's helping me learn, but it's also helping me just like take the emotion out of it and be a little bit less like the glass is half empty, it's keeping my glass full. Let's just say.
You forget so many things that happen in the second quarter by the time the fourth quarter comes around and that stuff. Like, there's so much context you lose. I love doing that.
Yes. And, I thought maybe, okay, so I've kind of given up on this, but for a while there, I was like, okay, well, maybe Matt just doesn't want to show all his play calling in the earlier parts of the season. He doesn't want to reveal everything. And maybe there's this, and maybe he's hiding that, and maybe they're going to come out, because we see other teams doing that. It's like, where did this team come from? It's the same team, right? We see it, especially with the Chiefs, even first and second half games being different. But at this point, I'm convinced that, no, that is not what's happening here at all, because he's not going to just tank these games in order to, conceal the big reveal. But I do think that we're going to see a lot of different things. Obviously, at this point forward, it's mid-November now. It's when it really matters. And then I also think that the Packers have been dealt opponents with all these like weird wrinkles. Like this week, a different head coach. Last week wasn't different. We had some new players though that the Eagles just traded
Jalen Phillips. Yeah.
So how do they plan? Also, a lot of last minute adjustments, and then we had like Flacco a couple of times, and although that was probably easier to plan for, but they weren't sure. I mean, we've had a lot of weird, it's not like we've gone into a team that we've lost to. Maybe the Cowboys, we knew what to expect.
Well, even that first Lions game, I mean, they, Packers trounced them, but at the time it's two new coordinators. Like, we don't know exactly how this team is going to look that week one. And they didn't look as good. So that was helpful to face them when the Packers faced them, I think, in week one. But that was a huge unknown going into that game too. So it has been a lot of not thought of it that way.
Yeah, taking over play calling. And it's like, are the Packers going to do something like that? Is this what's happening? I mean, in this league, even if it's not happening with your team, in our case, the Packers, it could be happening with the other teams, and that's going to affect you if you're playing them, or definitely affect the win-loss records and that kind of thing. So, yeah, it's just been kind of a weird year that way. A lot of tricky stuff going on.
So, I mean, that's true, because it's been like weird things here and there. And like when the team looks bad, it seems to be something different every time. I think you kind of said that before, Dusty. So do you think that's like, it's frustrating, but is it also kind of encouraging to think, well, these are things we hope could potentially clean up? Could they clean it up in time for the playoffs if we can make it into the playoffs at this point? I mean, I guess we're trying to say, like, do you think that this is actually, in terms of the problems we could have, kind of okay problems, fixable problems?
I go back and forth. It depends on the
Mhm.
day, because if it's like if it's details, if it's a lot of those details, and sometimes it hits at different moments. But like, do you suddenly get better at that in the course of the season? Like, sometimes, yeah, like if those kind of click into place and get a little more continuity at some of the positions and stuff, but sometimes it doesn't. It's a kind of a team to team, almost a season thing. So
Mm.
it is kind of tough. I mean, I will say the one thing I've been hoping for. I mentioned the game plan stuff I mentioned earlier. That's kind of a little different every week, and part of that is it's like a scaled down version of like the overall playbook that they kind of bring in these game plans. There's been, and I think this is my theory, I think there's been since the details have not been great, there's been less variation than we've seen in the past in terms of like they're running that stuff. And I mean, Dawn, you mentioned like holding stuff back. Like, I don't think they're doing that, but in a way they kind of are. And the fact that like we got these core things we're running, man, these suckers got to be buttoned up. We got to run these. And if they don't feel good about them, then they don't feel good about running the variation of that as well. And so they had, I mean, even, man, it makes me so mad. That illegal formation on the 6-0 line package, tremendous play, tremendous look, tremendous play. Burned it. I mean, like you burn it because of a dumb penalty. Like, all right, well, now we can't throw that one out next week. And so I don't think they're saving anything back, but I do think there's a focus. And we've seen this for him before. I think Love's first year as a starter, they kind of came out of the gate. Here's the full playbook, and Love was swimming. And so they dialed it back. They dialed back the motion. They dialed back play action. They kind of simplified the offense a bit. And then once he got past that point, they opened it back up. And it feels like we're kind of doing that again. It's not a Love thing. I think it's a protection up front, and it's a wide receiver thing, and it's a running back thing. Like, it's kind of scaled back to a point and then kind of opening that back up later. So it feels like it's like an accordion. Like right now it feels like it's constricted, and then that will start opening up. I mean, probably maybe this week, I'd say definitely by that Vikings game, I think we start to see that a little bit, but I think it is very much a, like, we've got to get better at these details, and it's not the off season. So we got to figure out a way to do it in season. So we're scaled back, and then we'll expand eventually. So we'll see if that happens, but it's kind of how it feels. It was like how the beginning of Love's first year, it's almost the same feel to the way that offense is functioning right now.
Yeah. Jordan's got a squeeze box. Mama never sleeps at night.
Well, it kind of makes sense because fans who aren't paying attention are not thinking of those of that thought process. But I've heard that discussed elsewhere as well, and it makes sense. You're not going to just throw more at a team that's not able to handle the basics, and it's almost like they're still. It's like, well, it's not like in reality, anything we do, the more we do it, the better we're getting at it. So that means everything is practice. Everything is practice. These games are practice. And so as a coach, he's going to look at that and be like, okay, well, these are the plays I'm going to do because this is how they're performing. Because a lot of people have said, well, why isn't Matt playing calls to the players that are actually on the field? And it's like, yeah, I think he is. That's why you're criticizing him for not calling different plays. It's just so circular, the arguments. It's kind of funny, but yeah, that's a really good point, Dusty, and a good question, Matt, for sure. Yeah, and the other thing is, I just feel like I get the sense personally that this is a team. Each player is really trying. The coaches are really trying. It's not where you can see certain teams or certain players. It's like they're just not into this. Yeah. I've seen that. You've seen that. We've all seen it.
seen it with AJ Brown in the past week, man.
Exactly. So I'm trying, but it's like they're really trying, and there's a lot of mental stuff that goes with this as well. But I just feel like, even if you're a sophisticated fan and you know a lot, Dusty, you know far more than I will ever know, but even then, you're still not in a position, any of us, I don't think personally, to really be second guessing what's going on. We don't know what's going on. We don't know about injuries. We don't know if Jordan's hurt. We don't know, and unless
I just assume everything that they tell us is lies.
Exactly.
I don't know what happens in the locker room. I don't know what happens in the huddle, and I assume most of what the whole the what you mentioned earlier, Don, but the whole Matt LaFleur doesn't talk to kickers. I don't think that's true. That felt like a joke. I don't think that's true.
He was messing around, honestly.
Well, but no, he said that. I've heard people say that in terms of well, how is he not talking to kickers? Well, he is. That's a joke, but also maybe he's not. No, I have no idea what happens behind there. I just assume every time they open their
Right.
mouth and it's some like coach speak stuff, like it's a lie. I just assume everything's a lie at this point. I don't take anything at face value, but maybe I should, but then maybe I shouldn't because we have no idea.
Yeah. we
Even
don't
today,
know.
when LaFleur was like, you kind of referenced it before, Dusty, and he was like, Stanovich spends plenty of time with the O-line still. It's part of what he's involved with. It sounded so much like he was trying to make it sound like he's there all the time, when it's like he must not be there much at all.
Oh, I saw a reference. Someone was like, "Well, it sounds like they have like 1.5 offensive line coaches." I was like, "That's not the way I took that. That's not the way I took that at all." He pokes his head in occasionally. He walks by an offensive lineman. That probably feels about right.
Yeah. Stops in on Fridays with donuts. Here you go, guys. Good work. Keep up the good work.
I hope not. Oh my God, no. Not on their keto diets. No. Well, guys.
O-linemen gotta be bulky though. They need the donuts.
That's right.
That's true. Right. There are some donut guys there for sure. Yeah.
Was it Frank Winters? Frank Winters, whose nickname was Big Bag of Donuts, offensive lineman for the mid-90s Packers.
I don't. I wish I could be called like Big Bag. I can't eat a big bag of donuts. Like I get sick after like a half of one.
That's why we don't call you that, Dawn.
No, I went to Wisconsin for the game 2 years ago with Matt and Katie, and she's like, "Okay, we got to go to Quick, do all these things." And we went to Quick Trip, and I'm like, "Okay," and I'm like, "What am I doing?" And she's like, "You're getting some." Pastry. She didn't call it that, whatever it was. And so I'm like, okay. And I'm looking and I get probably an eclair. I don't know what the hell I got, but I took one bite of it and I'm like, I cannot possibly, I'll die if I take 2 bites of this thing. I couldn't eat it. Like all the lard, I think it's lard actually that they use, not like butter.
I know it's good.
You like that? Yeah. You like that? Yeah. Oh my God.
So you could never be an offensive lineman, Don. You just don't have it in you.
That's it for me on the big bag of donuts idea.
It's a surprise to all of us that Don couldn't function as an O-lineman. Do you guys follow Thomas William Allen on?
I've seen him. I think
Twitter?
I can't remember if I do. I've seen his stuff though. Yeah.
Good dude, super funny. But this season he's posting like him holding a box of a dozen donuts before the game, and he's like, I think he's eating a dozen donuts every Sunday. Like that is living your best life, man. That is outstanding.
Oh.
I couldn't do that.
You ever do the Krispy Kreme 5Ks? Where you got to run the 5K and eat a dozen Krispy Kreme donuts while you're running the 5K?
Oh my God.
I've never heard of that. And
never done that. Nope.
We have Krispy Kreme here.
You shouldn't do it, Don.
No, I wouldn't. I would never try. I'd be so sick. But we do have Krispy Kreme here, and I do remember a couple times they're like, "Dawn, have you tried the Krispy Kreme?" Like at a meeting or whatever in LA, and I'm like, "What's that?" Because I don't eat that kind of stuff.
When they're warm, I've not had one in years. When they're warm, they got the light on. Oh my goodness!
That is just you turn the car around as fast as possible and get into that parking lot. Yeah,
just driving over the median. Here we go.
Yes,
but I don't remember them being so lardy like the one I got at.
No, they're like air, dude. Those things are dangerous because Krispy Kreme's like air.
Right,
yeah,
right. I could eat that. I could eat one of those for sure. Or
Aaron says, love Tully and his roommate that uses his frying pan as a cutting board. Maybe they're splitting the dozen donuts. Maybe that's what it is. Tully he's literally my favorite dudes on Twitter, actually. I will say. Huge shout out.
I love it. Well, guys, did you bring any superlatives this week?
I did.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
Dusty, awesome. Did you?
Oh, I always got some.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It's time for this week's superlatives.
I will say, Dawn,
got me good.
I love it. The one thing I wish was better is when it's your voice saying it. I want your floating head moving around as you're speaking it. That's what I want, man. That's exactly what I want.
I can do that. That's funny.
Don, you've been using that for, I don't know, months and months now, and somehow every single time. And I didn't even see it coming this time. I was like, oh, she hit the thing.
I always surprise Matt. I don't know why. It's like time.
You set it up. It's like a live from New York at Saturday night. Like you don't know when it's hitting and it just hits. Yeah.
I like it. I like making Matt laugh. That's good. That's good. Well, Maddie. Okay, so Dusty, how would you get us started out? We'll just take take turns?
I don't like that Aaron's here. All right, I'm gonna go. First up is best returning podcast. I'm giving it to Last Call Lambeau. I missed hearing Aaron and Monty so much. They were back last week. Aaron was gone out of the country and getting engaged and whatnot, and so they were off for off for a few weeks. But it was nice to have them back. They're back last week with the Uncotnik. It's always just a fun podcast. There are so few podcasts anymore that I take like pure joy in listening to, and there's also so few that don't have any ads in them, and that one I just absolutely love. I don't, because I usually listen either when I'm walking or a lot of times when I'm cooking supper, and the ad always hits when I got soapy hands and I can't skip it. I got soapy hands because I'm washing my hands after handling food. I hate it. So that just brings me so much joy, and I love them as people. So I love having that back that I'm able to listen to again. It feels like things are right in the world again with Last Call Lambeau back.
That's a good one.
I'm always listening to it when I'm going on Friday nights to go get carry out for dinner. So like for me, it's like week's over, getting the fun dinner, listening to Aaron and Monty and whoever they have as a guest that week. Oh yes, love that.
By the way, congratulations, Aaron,
yes,
on your engagement. Oh my gosh. I know it's been like
Thanks,
2
Aaron.
weeks. Seems like an hour ago, a year ago, but yes. Okay. All right. Maddie, what do you have?
Yeah. So my first one is best analysis. This is actually one from last week that I didn't get to because moving. And it was a podcast that Andy put out. So I don't have the title in front of me. I just was thinking about it on the way down to the stairs this evening. It was it's like 12 things the Packers need to do to fix the team. I can't remember, something like 12 things that Packers should do better, basically. And this is one of those like great Andy Herman moments where he lays out an argument, he goes point by point, and then you're going, damn, Andy's right. He's right about this. And I love that it was one that I listened to like yesterday. And then looking back on all the commentary that I've heard over the last two games, post game from the last two games, it's all stuff when people are like, oh yeah, they should be doing this better. It's all stuff that Andy like laid out on that podcast. It's like he hit all these points and people are kind of like, not intentionally referring to what he said, but it almost feels like they could be. Like he laid out the spine of the argument and things keep slotting into it. So it's just been like, oh man, once again, Andy just nailed it there. So even though it was like from a week and a half ago at this point, it's very much worth going back and listening to it, especially because the last two games had a similar feel of like, frustration to them. So that's one that I think is like, even a week and a half later, definitely worth going back for.
I like it, Maddie. I think I probably had Andy on every single day this week. I really needed, and I even listened to Andy on She Said TV with Aaron and Nagler today, and that was a really good conversation. I like Aaron with Andy together. I think they're, it's elevated and it's when he's answering the chat and stuff, it's pretty fun too.
So I found the name of it. Sorry, I was going to just throw this in real quick. It's actually called 12 Easy Ways to Fix the Packers Right Now. And I thought it was from a week and a half ago. It's actually from November 8th, which was my birthday, which was this past Saturday. So not as far back as I thought, but yeah.
That was a good one for sure. Thank you, Matt. Well, my first superlative is most musical. It's the mid-season check-in by Miranda Wilhelm. She was on the show a couple weeks ago, and she mentioned this was coming up. Yay!
Yeah, Miranda.
Mid-season check-in via Team Anthem AFC version. There will be a part 2 NFC, but it's pretty cool. I don't want to give anything away because I want y'all to go listen. It's at draftcountdown.com for their NFL coverage. But she does. Here's her little headliner. I'm back on my BS. Sorry, I snort. We know I love it when sports and music collide in any way possible. Below, I am checking in on all AFC teams at the halfway-ish mark and imposing a team anthem. And so, so it's all AFC teams. So it's 16 different anthems. And it's just a great way to listen to some music and check out and, moment of zen and that kind of thing and not think about the Packers too.
Miranda, who you can find on socials as Murda She Wrote, right?
Yep.
She's the best, man. She's so good.
So
hugely
fun.
Underrated. Definitely underrated, underappreciated. She's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All of her stuff is good. She's so funny. Every time when I hear her guesting, I know she was on Last Call Lambeau at some point. I think a couple times. Just so good. So funny, so knowledgeable. I love her to death. She's awesome.
Mhm.
My next one, I'll just get cheesy again, I guess, is just best co-hosts. I'm just gonna throw Sarah Kelleher and Steve Perhatch, who just because I talk to them weekly, but I don't get a chance to shout them out weekly.
Aw.
I think where are we at 6 years with them. Started with Steve first, and then Sarah came on a few months later. But pretty much every week, barring some little stretches here and there, I get a chance to talk to them, and it's just such a highlight of my week getting to talk to. I know, like, sometimes on the podcast, me and Steve kind of have a rivalry where we fight. Like that's strictly for the cameras. Like I love both of them so much, and the chance to get to know them and talk to them every single week, truly just a highlight of my week. So this past week we got I don't know if either of you listened this past week. We got a question in, and we had a conversation where I had to confirm that I was not a flat earther, and just the weird moments of chaos in that show as a result of just the dynamic there. I think that's hard to find, and I've been very lucky to find it. So I just want to shout them out. It's just two lovely human beings that I love talking to, and we just happen to be fans of the same team. We talk football as well. So should give a shout out to Steve and Sarah.
Well deserved. Yeah.
Yeah, and we love listening to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, the flat earther part, I was laughing out loud. I was doing dishes, I think, at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. That came out of nowhere. Sarah's like, Dusty. you didn't say whether you believed it or not.
Oh, okay.
That was fun.
And I can confirm real fast, Miranda has been on Last Call Lambeau twice. I do actually keep a spreadsheet for them because nobody asked me to do it, and so
you're the unofficial podcast historian. Yeah,
it's
you kept the watching stuff. We reference that all the time. When we were recording, we reference that all the time.
Back in the day.
Yeah, well, one day soon, eventually as well. But Monty big timed us a little bit, so we're on break at the moment.
Yeah, he got married, right? He got facial hair, and he got a couple other podcasts he's on.
He got the we started up the football season, and he got the cheesehead thing, the head of the pack with Dan and Camille, and he was like, "Sorry guys, I can't record. I can't talk about Venom 3. I've got to just come on, dude, get over yourself."
Monty got married?
I don't think he got married yet. He got engaged. He's engaged. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Engaged. Which I was like, oh, he was like dating someone. It's good. I think it's good when people can like keep certain elements of their family life, outside of like their online persona. It's like, it's a separate thing. It should be a separate thing, honestly.
Totally separate.
100%. Yeah,
that's right.
And Aaron is saying, Dusty, you're going to watch Venom 3 again. Just accept it.
I watched Venom 3 for the show, and then Monty was like, I can't do it this week, and we never recorded. And I took notes, and I told him I'm never watching it again. So whenever we record, I've got the memories I got, man. Like, I'm not doing this again. It's terrible.
Right, Don. Well, my next superlative is best commentary. Oh, this is good. Okay, so Michael Rosenberg was writing for Sports Illustrated. I almost said supplemental instruction, which is what SI stands for at work. That's peer tutoring stuff. No, for Sports Illustrated. And the article is called "The NFL and Roger Goodell are providing a blueprint for tussling with Donald Trump." Now, we don't like to get political on this show, but it was fascinating given the moment we're in politically. Because, with the president trying to get the Commanders to name their new stadium after him, the article was, I know, right?
Didn't hear that.
You didn't know that, Don? Yeah.
No,
Remarkable.
I stay out of all the politics.
Remarkable.
Like, that is something I just avoid. That is
something.
laughable.
That is something.
That's a thing. That's a thing that happened in the past week. Yes.
So the article is about how the NFL owners and Roger Goodell have handled, or rather more than anything ignored, the president's requests for things and attempts to curry favor and like push his weight around and stuff like that. And obviously it was a political I'm trying to say, there was a bias in the reporting, whether or not I agreed with it, we don't need to get into here, of course. But suffice to say, the way that the reporter talked about this as a way for other people to, push back against this sort of what could be seen as bullying behavior by the president, I thought was really excellent analysis. And Roger Goodell gets a lot of hate, I think, in general. A lot of people will talk ill of him, given a chance. But I think that was a good point they made, and this is a good way to approach a situation like this, how to engage with a bully, or rather not engage. And good life lessons, and it made me kind of respect Roger Goodell a little bit more. It's a good article. It's really well written and like really fun. Again, that journalist, that writer was Michael Rosenberg
for Sports Illustrated. I love it, Matt. I might check it out. Speaking of Donald Trump, I don't like to speak of that or say
really myself.
It's really hard. It doesn't even come out of my mouth right. It's in any case, I happen to be just for fun listening. Pablo Torre Finds Out today. It just came up like when I was doing something else, and it's like, oh, what's this? And, I know he's literally highly scripted and all that stuff, but he does cover some interesting things. And I don't even know why I was listening, but it just was there. And it was about, it's called Inside Rick Pitino's Private World of Scandal Fixers.
Sweet.
Okay. From stripper gate to Donald Trump. So I didn't even know who Rick Pitino is. I'm like, Joe Paterno? Like, who is this guy?
Oh, Pitino's big in my area, man. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, I found that out in the podcast, but it's really worth listening to. It is just a wild one. Totally like, if you need to take your mind off of the Packers, which sometimes we do, and other things, just like zone out. I was like cleaning or something, and I just was like, wow, this is so interesting. But yeah, it's cool. Like the story is whoa.
Oh, Pitino's stuff, because he got fired for Kentucky for scandal. He got fired pre-Kentucky for scandal. He got fired or left of his own volition, and scandal chased him basically out the door. I don't know that he's ever had to stop coaching where like scandal has not followed in his wake. It's been that man.
Right. But the people,
tremendous coach though. Tremendous.
Why? Yeah, but why is he not gone with everything that he's done? And it's because of the people that are behind him. So in comes other fixers. So anyway,
he's got Tommy DeVito's manager on his side. That's right.
A name I'd rather say Danny DeVito. He's always going to be Danny DeVito to me. I'm sorry. Even though what's his name is just shorter quarterback, Kyle. He's just too short to be a quarterback. I'm sorry. He just is. He's got to be taller. You got to see stuff. Okay. Most emotional Packers locker room media access. This is kind of late, but I don't know what happened. But time goes so fast. Micah Parsons speaking on mental health and being there for teammates. And this was the day after Marshawn Kneeland's death, which was really a lot. Like I just took that really hard, and we all should. And I don't know, anything about what happened there or whatever with him, but I was really happy because I was worried about Micah and his other team, Dak, because Dak had already lost a brother.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that whoever asked the questions in the locker room that day allowed him to speak, and he did speak for a long time about it, talked about his family and that kind of thing. And I think it's worth watching. If you didn't see that, go to Green Bay Packers YouTube account and go to the locker room interviews and check it out. It's important because we're out. Fire this player is terrible and fire this coach and all that. It's like people need to realize that people read these things. And even if like Matt LaFleur, I hope, is not reading this, and Jordan Love has enough sense not to read this stuff, their family does and their loved ones do. And also, like, I don't think with the Packers so much, but with some of these team owners who are, swayed by public opinion and that kind of thing. Public opinion doesn't always know what's going on, and so people's lives are I shouldn't say their lives, but their feelings and their emotions and their mental health is at stake. So be careful what you say. Anyway.
Yeah, and seeing Micah Parsons talk about Kneeland was one of those moments that like really humanizes a player. You're like, yes, this is a person. This isn't just like a weird little thing on my screen that goes back and forth during the games. Like, this is a real person with real feelings and emotions. It was a beautiful moment.
Yeah, it's not one of those like video games. I think that's part of what's happening with all these really over the top commentary on social media. First of all, social media, because you're like distance from reality, but also the whole, like I mentioned earlier, the betting thing. But everything's not a video game, man. These are people. These are people.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I'm done. What do you have next, Dusty?
I don't know how many you guys have. I had 2 more, and one of them was a quick one. I will go.
Perfect.
Okay, you got 2 more too, Matt? Awesome.
I got 3 total, but so I have 1 more. So, but go ahead.
Okay, I'll hit one. I'll hit one more, like kind of football one, and then I'll end with my other one. I'm just gonna go my favorite national podcast. Listen to quite a few national podcasts to figure out like kind of what's going on around the league. Mina stuff is great. The Athletic Football Show is like that's one. Like Robert Mays, I've been listening to him for forever since Ringer stuff, and what he's built there has just been absolutely insane. My favorite one is it's called The Read Optional. It's behind a paywall. It's on a Substack, which this maybe it's a trend. No ads through that one either, so maybe that's a trend. That's it's Ollie Connolly and John Ledyard. If you've listened to any national stuff, you've probably heard them. Ollie's a British guy. He had he works as a coach, I think, in New England for a bit. He's a linebackers coach. Worked, I think, Central Michigan for a bit as well. But he's a British guy, so you've heard his voice. He's been with Mina. He's been on Robert, all that stuff. And Ledyard has been covering the. He's a Steelers fan, so he's covered them for years, and he covers the Bucs as well. But they bring a really like in-depth national perspective of like these teams. They just put out one today I've not listened to yet. That's like NFC playoff hopefuls and the things with their teams and all that stuff. But they get really into. You get the overview, so you do get some of the macro stuff, but they get really into like nitty-gritty. Like, here's why this linebacker is the key to this defensive team, and just the way they talk, the conversational tone of all of it. I have learned so much from them, and it's one of those I don't know how long that will be around. I've been listening to them for 2 years, just because it feels like at some point, at least one of them is going to get a job with a football team, and that will go away. That's happened to me with baseball podcasts I've listened to, or like my favorite baseball podcast of all time. Both those guys got positions in MLB, and then they just disappeared. So it feels like at some point that's happening. But for a while, that's around. If you subscribe to their Substack, it's the readoptional.substack.com. Ollie does writing on there as well. But then you get the podcast. It's usually twice a week. I've learned more from listening to them talk than from like anything I've read or listened to or watched in the past probably 3 years. Tremendous work those guys do. And it's a very fun listen. They have a really good dynamic as well. So that's The Read Optional. That's my favorite national podcast. And my favorite commenter is Aaron, not Joe, apparently. That's a bonus superlative, I guess.
That was my favorite superlative. That's the best commenter. Aaron and not Joe. Yeah, no. We're on the same page about that. It's amazing.
Oh, I like that. Dusty, why do I keep calling you each other? Anyway, yes, I like that. I like that recommendation.
Between the Athletic podcast and all the stuff Mina does, like I think they're the 2 best sort of sources for national stuff. But I haven't checked out the thing you're mentioning here, Dusty.
Right.
It's one of those things. It's like if it's making you smarter,
right? That's what I was thinking.
I learned so much from them every single week. I feel like I just steal stuff from them because I'm like, oh, I didn't notice that, and you go back and watch it and go, oh, okay, yeah, that did happen. All right.
Yeah, that's what we like. Oh, I like it.
Things behind paywalls I tend to be hesitant about, but I will definitely check that out.
Oh, it's so good, dude. Well worth it.
Nice. Well, I did mention I have one more. So my final superlative for this evening is best explanation. So there's this YouTube guy, Michael McKelvey. He puts some really interesting stuff out there, like really like slickly produced videos, and some of them are real good. And one that came across my algorithms on YouTube during lunch the other day was called "Passing is Better, So Why Run?" And he went into like the math behind it, the statistics, in a way that I'd never seen explained. And like I would try to rehash it here, but it would be clumsy and incorrect. But suffice to say, he starts with like a grid of like a run play and a pass play on one axis, and then like run defense and pass defense on the other axis, and like what are the average yards that are gained with like in these conflicting situations. He uses that as a launching off point to talk about like, well, let's talk about game theory with how this is involved. And as we start to chart this stuff, we can see statistically like, there's a point where these lines intersect from the way he talks about them, where it's basically like running something like 53.1% of the time is actually the most like optimal way to do it, given the way how the statistics work out. And he gets into even like further details beyond that. And I just sat there going, oh my God, I had no idea you could do this statistically. Like, this is amazing. And he makes a point a couple times during it to say there are certain simplifications we're doing here. It goes deeper than this, of course. And football is such a complex sport with 11 people and coaches and everything else happening. And maybe you have a assistant head coach who's like Grima Wormtongue saying weird stuff at weird times. There's a lot going on that we can't really account for. But at least the statistical models do show that, like, in the end, the running is actually really an important part of it. And even like a little more than passing is, per game theory, advantageous. And it totally blew my mind.
That sounds awesome.
Oh, it's really good. Yeah.
Well, I remember when I first even before I really started watching football, and I would watch a game, once a week or whatever. And I would think the same thing. It's like, why do they do that? Just throw the ball. Just throw it. You can go so much farther. Right?
So yes, also that.
It's a smart question. It's a question we want to know the answer to. I like it. I'm gonna check it. That's YouTube, right?
Yep, Michael McKelvey.
All right.
Interesting stuff. Well produced.
Okay. Here's another one. It's a little heavier, but I'm sorry. I've got the heavies.
Lately, Dawn, I know you've been running something depressing
but
every
I put
week.
These together like several days ago. I'm not feeling like that now. Anyway, okay. Graham Gano says he received death threats from sports bettors, and this was actually on Pro Football Talk. So I had to know what he's talking about, and it's true. But this is kind of probably what informed me to earlier saying how some of these comments and how people don't see players as people. They see them as like a video blip, but also the whole fantasy football thing and the betting thing is making people more like fire this way, like just crazy, like off the wall behavior that isn't normal. And I'm like, maybe it's just because they've got money on this stuff. So, but anyway, so Florio did discuss also in this, not only players getting threatened, we want you to die, we want you to do, off yourself and that kind of thing. I gotta be careful what I say on YouTube, I guess. But some really horrible things that people are saying, and then it's coming back to, well, they're just because they're losing money on their bets that they're threatening these players and coaches. So and then Florio, I thought this was going to be a moment of, oh, this is good, but it wasn't. But okay, so Florio said because there's been a lot of talk, not just Matt LaFleur, but McDaniel and in Miami and other players, they should be fired and he's on the hot seat. It's, oh my gosh, it's like, geez. And Florio said, I sort of had to like look within and do some soul searching about how, so many of us are calling out for coaches being fired. And then he justified it. He's like, he came back and he's like, well, they're making a lot of money. And so they're supposed to take this. I don't care. That I don't think you should be justified. I don't even know, not only that, but if we want to become better fans or more informed fans or understand our team better or understand what's going on, because ultimately I think what makes people mad is it's like, I don't get this. Like, I thought this was supposed to be a Super Bowl team, and why are they doing this and why are they playing this way? But but the way to do that is to become a little bit more educated, not necessarily deeply in the X's and O's, but about anything, just to become a little bit more informed. And I think mostly that's what people want. But so for that reason, I just don't appreciate now it's coming down to Green Bay Packers reporters asking the coach right after a heartbreaking loss, are you on the hot seat? Is your job it's like, okay, why is that going to inform me as a fan? First of all, like Dusty said, you're not going to get the truth either way, right?
No, what do you think the answer is going to be?
Right. Actually, I thought Matt LaFleur had a really good answer, so I think he was prepared. I liked his answer, but I have a feeling he was prepared. But it's just, what good is that? Like, how is that going to help me get through the season better? Like, how is that going to help me support my team more? Or like, if you're that unhappy about your team, just go go be a Bears fan or something. I don't know.
Well, but even from like a journalist standpoint, like with asking the questions, a lot of times you ask those questions, you want to get a response because that's part of a story you're writing.
Mhm.
Like you're getting that, and that's
Right.
going to be part of the quote, which I totally understand. But even then, is like what quote are you expecting from there? Matt
Right.
LaFleur doesn't believe he's on the hot seat. Like it's kind of one of those like. I think it's one of like John Meerdink has made this point multiple times. Like I think the beat reporters, Blue 58, tremendous podcast by the way. Meerdink's great
Yes.
over there.
Yeah.
But that's been one of his points is like so many of the questions, and I like the beat for the most part. I know a handful of those guys, but like it is very much you can hear in the questions they're asking what story they're trying to write, and they're just trying to get the quotes to back it up, as opposed to like because they're not fans, or this is their job they're trying to do, but like then get the information that we need to get. Why wasn't Christian Watson on the field that last time? What's this injury? What's the timeline for this coming back? And maybe they won't tell you, but maybe in their response they will give you something that maybe you can act on a little bit more. Yeah, Aaron. Yeah, they're looking for a viral quote. I mean, that's part of it, but a lot of times you can hear in the question, you hear the question and go, okay, I know the angle of the story they're working on, but like the job should be to get the information to the people who are like trying to follow the team. Like that's what bugs me a bit, is there's so much meat left on the bone with some of those questions at times where like you're trying to get your story, which I get, like you got to write the stories. Like I understand how that stuff works, but it's also, there's some information that you're just not asking about that probably you should be asking about. And I think that's what's been bothering me about the whole thing.
Right. And if you're going to ask that kind of question because the fans are clamoring for it, those aren't fans that are reading your articles probably. Like they're not even probably able to read. I'm sorry. Okay, I took it a little too far. I mean, it's just kind of like that red meat thing. Like, really?
Yeah.
Do the fans really need to know? Because I'm a fan and I don't need to know. Like, I don't. Anyway.
I mean, I say all that, but then we had his Halloween quote, which is what started the losing streak. So I'm glad they asked that question about Halloween, because now I know what's to blame. You know,
people need to know.
And we're still talking about exactly.
It was such a weird moment because we'll just say it was Matt Schneidman is one who asked that question. Like, do you feel like you're coaching for your job? I was surprised that he asked that because, like, what did he expect LaFleur was going to say? Is just write a story or something? But I think too, like you said, Dusty, I thought about that in every single press conference about John Meerdink's thing about his sort of growing disappointment with the beat writers. I usually really respect Matt Schneidman. I was surprised he asked that question that way.
Yeah.
And of course he's very much not a fan. He's very forward about, like, I am not a Packers fan. I am a reporter.
Yeah.
Which I respect, for sure. But yeah, it was a weird moment, I thought. And it was really early in that conference too. It was like one of the first questions asked, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was unnecessary, in my opinion.
And again, that is like, you can see that, and the game works. Like I get it, but that is very much, he's got to write a story. He's got to write a story with quotes in it. And since people are talking about like Matt LaFleur on the hot seat after 2 losses and how does that go, it needs to be addressed, and it would be addressed better if he gets a quote from the head coach. So like you can follow the train down the line far enough where you see like why that question was asked. It's just it feels like there could have been better questions that could have been asked as well.
That's the point. Exactly, 100%. And then in context with the Florio piece about players and coaches getting death threats, it's like, do we need to feed into that? Can we be a writer that has a little bit more common sense about where these trends are going, and if they're but I did appreciate that Florio put that out, even though he soul searched and found no soul.
That seems like that's Florio's way. That's what he does.
Right.
He found no soul.
He does. He's good about some things, but I was like, oh, this is good. And I'm like, oh,
that was a very much are we the baddies moment. And then he's like, nope, no, I am not. I am not part of the problem here.
Well, with that, this is perfect because you can give us your final superlative, Dusty, to bring us home.
I've got one more, and it's about the nature of death and how it comes for us all. No, mine is, I'll end on a high note. I listen to, Matt, I know you listen to music. I listen to a ton of music at work. Most of my job, I sit at my desk. I work at home. My desk is right over there. And I respond to emails and I do coding and analyze numbers and all that stuff. And I just have music on in the background. And I can't listen to stuff I know, so listen to new stuff. So listen to a whole bunch of new stuff. And some of it's good and some of it's bad. My two favorites, let's see, this week. A buddy at work recommended this first one to me. The next one I found on my own. They're both kind of shoegazy. I get into shoegazy stuff, but it's like different branches of it. So first one is Swim School. It is the self-titled album, Scottish group, kind of a like fuzzy, kind of upbeat, kind of like a Cure Smiths type of like driving bass guitar behind it. But you got the fuzzy shoegazy stuff. Lead singer has a tremendous voice. So Swim School is the first one. Absolutely love it. The other one is called it's Missionary Girls, and it's called Bleeding Out. I don't know a lot about them, but it's more of like kind of a new wavy gothy type of shoegaze. So it's two, again, kind of like different branches off of that, two entirely different vibes while still like kind of shoegaze fuzzy stuff. I found both of those this past week, and both of those are just insane. I had like 5 different albums, and then I chopped them for this segment. But Swim School and Missionary Girls, like the 2 albums I've just been on repeat this week.
Nice.
I'm very excited. You said a lot of Matt coded keywords there.
I think he's got the same thing I do. If I see like fuzzy, if I see jangly, if I see drenched in a reverb, I'm like, all right, man, sign me up. I'm gonna listen to it.
Drenched in the reverb.
If you ever listen to a band that makes you think of the Smiths, I'm there. I want to hear that.
I know, that's what got me. I'm like, yeah.
Oh, it has like, there's definitely, I think the second track, there's like a bass line, like, oh, that's The Cure. And then the guitar comes in like, that's Johnny Marr. Like, all right, baby, here we go. Let's go.
Yeah, here we go for sure. Love that recommendation. Like the music touch too. I started with the music with Miranda and her 16 AFC music choices. I love it. I mean, reading that article and then listening to all that music is like, I took a chunk of time out of my day, awesome. And it was like, that was so refreshing. That was so great.
Yeah.
We all need to do that. Maddie, any final thoughts before we bring her home?
Well, I mean, I think it's important to take a second to say thank you to Dusty, not just for being here, but I mean, I've told you this several times, you know, man, I'm a smarter Packers fan, you know, because of the work that you do to share the curiosity and the knowledge that you have with all of us. And I just want to say thanks.
Thank you.
You know, very, very much so. And, you know, I think we need to give Dusty the floor to promote all the great stuff he does, especially his new podcast that I have been just loving. So, Dusty, tell us about all your stuff, man.
Yeah. I mean, socials at Dusty Evely. Yeah, I do Acme Packing Company writing. I've got a piece I'm hopefully finishing up tonight about like the upcoming game. And then, yeah, you mentioned I was doing watching stuff till Monty big timed us. Don't have that anymore. Hopefully the off season will revive that a little bit. But yeah, I started Red Right Clamp. Thank you, Aaron. Red Right Clamp I started a few weeks ago, and it's really just a way for me to I do so much. I've always been caught in a weird spot where like I write about the previous week's game and I write about, I got all the concepts and I got all my charting, I do all my stuff. But then for Pack a Day, I'm looking forward and it's a really quick turnaround. And so I do pull all these numbers, I do all this research to see like how the offense can attack the defense. And I've gotten more like deeper into that. And then I've got like, I do one thing on Pack a Day podcast where it's like, this is what I'm looking for. But I've got a bunch of like research and clips and all kinds of stuff to go into that. And so I just wanted something where I could, I think Matt, I think I mentioned, you texted me after that first episode. It was a brain dump. I've got all of this stuff. It takes too much time to write. And if I want to do a video of it, I've got clips, but I've got to get them together. And then I've got to do a whole production behind it. And like, I like doing that, but that also takes time. And my job's gotten busier. I don't have the time anymore. So I just need a place to dump my thoughts in terms of here's all my thoughts that I have where people's like my co-host eyes won't glaze over. And I can just talk for 20 minutes about all of this stuff that may or may not make sense to anyone other than me. And it's been really fun. It's been my 4 or 5 episodes in. I think I had the new one, which I had some production issues with. So I need to fix that because apparently I'm an idiot when I put that thing out. But it's been cool. It's been fun. It's been something sometimes with the video stuff, I'll dread that where I'm like, I kind of want to do this, but this is going to take me an hour to get everything around. And that's just, I got done recording another podcast. I did Talking Sports with Evan last night, and I got done. I was like, well, I've got all these notes. I'm going to take 20 minutes and just rip through it. And if I make mistakes, I make mistakes. So it's been fun. I've heard from a couple people who like it. I think maybe 3 people listen to it, but it's me dumping my brain out so I can move on with my life after that. So it's been fun. That's Red Right Clamp, which I think is up on all major podcast things now. I think you can search on Apple Podcasts. I figured that out. I think so. So yeah, you can just search that and find it. It's been. We'll see if it keeps going. Probably won't in the off season, but it's been fun so far. It's been fun.
Just been listening to it through your Substack, which I mean, good to drive clicks to the Substack for sure. But I'm glad to hear that it's out on the actual like platforms now. I mean, it's a podcast for sickos, and I love it. So yeah, for people who want to just like hear that unfiltered, raw, here's what's on Dusty's mind. It's
no one needs it, man. No one needs it. But it's out there, man.
I listen to it. I like that it's on your Substack because you can just like click it in your email and start listening.
Well, and also shout out too. So I had one promo, or I had the intro music. That the initial intro music I had was something I had worked up, like it's a very shoegazy thing that I had done a couple of months ago. And then I listened to it like just to see, like, I don't like listening to my voice, but like, how does it sound? And it's so abrasive. I was like, I got to do something else here. And so I took a song. My daughter, when she was 8, came up with a melody for a song, came up with a piano line. And so I took that and like built something out around it. So the intro outro song is something that like technically my daughter co-wrote, and that makes me happy to be able to put that and have people listen to that. So that was I enjoy that. That's pretty cool.
I had to look up like what is red right clamp mean.
That
it
is
was like a football term, and then I did look it up.
Yeah, it's just red right clamp. The reason I chose it, it's a formation in the Packers playbook.
Okay.
So it's a specific link under center formation, and clamp is an add-on word to it. And I think the tight end kind of pushes in 5 yards, if I'm not mistaken. So I wanted that, but also since I'm into horror, I wanted something that's kind of connected to that. And red right clamp kind of sounds like the Nick Cave song "Red Right Hand," and so I decided to just I felt like that worked, and it made sense to me, even if it didn't make anyone.
I like it. Well, I like it. It sounds very Dusty, but when I looked it up, I thought it had something to do with like, recharging a battery on like if you have a dead battery on the side of the road in your car.
The blue left clamp.
I see it. I get it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No. Unfortunately, no.
I didn't know, but I was like,
no. The picture of the podcasters, I've got a diagram play up there. The formation that's drawn in, that's red right clamp is the formation in that diagram.
Okay.
Or as Aaron says, it sounds like a lobster playing Twister.
Nice. Not wrong. Not wrong.
And Aaron said, also don't forget about your Patreon. Do you have a Patreon?
Oh, I scrapped that. I get wild hairs and then I don't do them anymore. And so I did that in the off season, and then it got to be too much work and I got overwhelmed, and then I got sad and I deleted it. So I don't so I've got the Substack. She did mention the Tableau release as well, which is something I've been doing. So that's like every week, Wednesdays. I think it's a combination of my charting and then like stuff from Pro Football Reference, and then FTN. There's a GitHub where they post some of that information, and so I kind of grab a couple different CSVs, smash it together in a data blending program, and then I combine that with my own charting, and then I push out a Tableau thing. That's selfishly for me, it's easier than me maintaining all my pivot tables in an Excel spreadsheet. So it's easier for me referencing when I'm writing an article and I want to see what like their 11 personnel trend usage has been over the course of a year. It gives me a place to look at it. So whether other people look at that or not, that's cool. I like if they do. Like if people are getting use out of that, that's awesome. Selfishly, it's just for me. So I'm glad other people are using it.
Sometimes it's meant for you, but it becomes for the people.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I was like, my whole thing has always been if what I'm writing about, if what I'm looking at is stuff that I'm interested in, I assume at least one other person is as well. So I'll just put the numbers are free and I'm doing it anyway. So I'm putting this out in the world. So it seems like it's going well. So yeah, that's out. I can't remember. It's on the Tableau Public thing, so it's free. You can just access it, click through, and click the graphs, and data will refresh, and you can slice it a whole bunch of different ways. And I found it to be incredibly useful. I did it once before, and it was a false start, but this year's been good.
Well, of all the projects that you started and stopped, the one I really missed the most was your OnlyFans. But anyhow,
the people got sick of seeing the feed over and over again, Matt. I don't know what to tell you, brother.
I love it.
So anyhow,
Aaron says Dusty is for the sickos.
Dusty is for the sickos.
With that in mind, yes.
Highest praise. Thank you.
Thank you again for joining us, Dusty. It's really good to see you again. And we always learn so much from you, but it's more just not only that, but it's just really great to see you.
It's good to see you as well. I missed you the last time, Dawn. So glad I could catch you this time around.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Maddie, let's bring her home.
Bring her home. All right. Thanks so much, Dusty. Appreciate you so much, man. Friends, we'd love to have a chance to interview you and shout you out if you're a subscriber and a football fan. If you'd like to nominate someone to be a guest on our podcast, please let us know. Our DMs are open on all the social platforms. And folks, when you subscribe to our podcast, you help us to keep spreading the love in our community. And the best way to the best way to help this podcast grow is by sharing it with your friends and family. I usually don't trip over that line. That was weird.
Yes, Maddie, that's right, because we love you. We're so glad to know you, to be fans of you, and have the luxury of being fans of the most storied team in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate your support, your subscriptions, and sharing our pod, and we look forward to seeing you next week on
Hey, we like your pod.
Football in general comes down to discipline and people owning their roles. And when you aren't disciplined or you go outside the scheme, bad stuff happens.